Breaking news. Good news for once about DPReview. We have new cameras from Pentax, Leica, and an amazing drone from DJI. We have leaked lenses from Nikon, Canon, and Sony, and more. I'll tell you about it, but first I want to thank our sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace makes incredible websites incredibly easy. Visit squarespace.com/Tony right now and you'll get a free trial that will allow you to set up your website. Just play with it, whatever you imagine. A website for your business, your personal project, photography, or video portfolio. Show off, have fun with it, build something consistent with your brand, something so much more powerful than social media. You can get your own custom domain, like I have northropphotography.com, and that's way more professional than sending somebody to your Instagram. So get started at squarespace.com/Tony. That'll get you a free trial, totally free, no credit card required. And when you love it, the coupon code Tony will get you 10% off. Thank you, Squarespace. Our top story, Canon, always on the cutting edge, is now getting into NFTs. Those are non-fungible tokens, which are basically little digital images that you can buy and sell and trade. The new curated photography marketplace is called Cadabra. I'm kind of laughing at this because the camera manufacturers, they're not known for being leading edge at all. It's quite the opposite. And Canon getting into NFTs is kind of funny because if you look at this chart from Google Trends, you can see NFTs are down 94% from their peak. So announcing that you're launching an NFT site isn't going to cut it because the site's not even live. They're just like teasing people as if we're all going to be clamoring like, oh, finally, a way to buy and sell NFTs. So Canon missed the peak by about a year and a half, which isn't bad because NFTs really only became interesting and popular a little over 2 years ago. And that's actually moving incredibly fast for a Japanese company. But there's this thing about Japanese corporate culture. For one, they don't necessarily move quickly. They wait and see what's working for other people, and then they sort of jump on and try to refine it. Another thing about Japanese corporate culture, they're not as likely to cut and run. Once they start a project, they're going to see it through, even if it suddenly becomes a very bad idea, even if they've missed their window. And that's a big part of why all the popular camera companies are currently Japanese. Like other camera companies left the industry, and it's only the Japanese companies that kept going after it after the market has fallen so much. And we're seeing that same thing with NFT. No doubt Canon started this initiative as a way to be cutting edge when NFTs became popular. But when NFTs fell off suddenly at the end of 2022 or so, they didn't end the project. Any American company, Korean company, we would have just said, okay, we missed our window, everybody's laid off. But Japanese culture, they don't do that. They keep going forward. Another interesting case study is DPReview. Now, I just finished saying American companies, as soon as they aren't making money, they just lay everybody off and delete everything. And that is exactly what Amazon did to DPReview, one of the most cherished parts of the photography community. I've been a member for more than 20 years. So a couple of weeks ago, I had to make a video that said Amazon was completely deleting DPReview, firing everybody, and then removing it completely from the internet. But they changed their mind, quite possibly because of pressure from us and you. So thank you for doing that. Here's what the updated notice says. We hear your concerns about losing the content that has been carefully curated over the years and want to assure you that the content will remain available as an archive. We've also heard that you need more time to access the site, so we're going to keep publishing some more stories while we work on archiving. This is saying, hey, a bunch of people said they were going to boycott Amazon, and so we put that into our spreadsheet and recalculated it and realized it was cheaper for us to keep DPReview up and running than to piss off such a big part of the community. But here's what I find funny and a little condescending. Look at this part of the quote. We want to assure you that the content will remain available as an archive. Now, the use of the word assure means to me like they're telling you again, right? Like, oh, you didn't read it right the first time. Everybody was overreacting because they said we were going to delete DPReview. But here's what the original report said. The site will be locked with no further updates made after April 10th. The site will be available in read-only mode for a limited period afterwards. Limited period afterwards means, of course, it's going to go away, But now they're saying, we're going to assure, whoa, 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 what are you saying? Of course it's going to say up. Community pressure forced Amazon to backtrack on their plans to delete DPReview. This is good news. This is one of the things that does work in capitalism, is people vote with their dollars, and thus we can steer the all-powerful corporations in our direction sometimes, so I consider this a win. Chris and Jordan haven't made any new DPReview videos, but people like Richard Butler are still writing articles for DPReview even after April the 10th. Like, they published one today. I'm sure they will stop, but they just kind of want to let the heat die down a little bit. In hardware news, we have 2 new cameras launched this week, and they're both black and white. This is so weird. The Pentax K3 III Monochrome has a black and white sensor. This is basically the same Pentax K3 as before with some styling changes, and they have removed the red, green, blue Bayer filter from it, so it's just capturing luminance information. And this can provide much more detailed images, especially in primary colors like reds and blues that would mostly be filtered out by the Bayer filter. It is an astonishing $2,200. This is for a very outdated APS-C DSLR. That is a lot to pay, but at the same time, it's such a specialty camera, and if you are a Pentax enthusiast, I think it would be cool to add a black and white camera to your arsenal. The other camera makes that one seem cheap. This is the Leica M11 Monochrom. And this one really has my eye. I'm interested in this. It has a 60 megapixel, I think, Sony sensor with the Bayer filter removed. So you're getting 60 real megapixels of black and white information, which should produce lower noise and sharper images than would be possible with like literally any other camera. It has 256 gigabytes of internal memory. Canon, Nikon, Sony haven't figured out how to give us that yet. But if you forget your memory card, you can record to the internal memory, and you can put a memory card in there and it will be a backup for you. Leica wants $9,200 for their M11 Monochrome, and that is a lot, but it's a special and unique camera, and well, Leica knows what they have. The good thing about buying Leica is, while they seem wildly overpriced for the feature set, it's an investment. And my Leica M10D that I bought used has only gone up in price. I bought it for $6,500, and now I see them usually sell used for about $8,000. And I've had it for several years. So you can buy it, use it for many years, and not lose any money on it. The other new camera is a flying camera. And this is also one that I really want, but it is crazy expensive at $16,500. This is the DJI Inspire 3, their top-of-the-line imaging drone. It is meant for really cinematic environments. We owned the Inspire 2, and while we used it sometimes, we didn't see a big enough leap in image quality to choose it over the smaller Mavic and Phantom drones at the time. Also, it was so big and loud and made such a scene that it was difficult to get things done in any kind of public place because you just gathered so much attention. This new Inspire 3 is a little bit lighter and not subtle, but more capable. The battery life is 28 minutes, which means probably 20 minutes of actual flying time. The camera that they include captures 44 megapixel stills and will do 8K at 75 frames per second raw. It's actually more powerful than any Canon, Nikon, Sony camera available today, though you do have to pay an extra grand to get that raw codec. Currently, the camera has the DL mount, which is DJI's mount, but they have several full-frame lenses to go with this full-frame sensor, and I think there's also plans to release a full-frame E-mount version of it soon, too. That means I could actually put my lightweight Sony lenses on there and get just amazing image quality. I want this so bad. And they're including Waypoint Pro with a separate RTK sort of tripod that you stick and gives it very precise centimeter level accuracy for repeating the same path over and over again. I recently did a video talking about how powerful waypoints were, but complaining that it was not especially accurate, and that added a whole bunch to my post-production and generally just made everything more difficult. This completely solves that problem, albeit it requires a special piece of hardware. It takes SSDs, and they're pretty expensive. They've eliminated the option for the micro SD card. You're going to spend about $800 for a terabyte on that. So all in, you're going to be close to at least 20K when you count the lens, but what a powerful drone. Onto the Sony, Canon, and Nikon lenses. Sony Alpha Rumors is saying there's a new version of the 70-200 f4 G lens coming from Sony. And I'm excited to see this because the previous generation, when we tested it many years ago, it was bad. It did not compare in things like sharpness and contrast or autofocus speed to the lenses from the competitors at the time. And Sony has completely changed their optical game. They're now the leader. Like, all the G and G Master lenses have been astounding, like technically perfect. It is boring to test them because I cannot find any flaws. So I'm looking forward to a lighter, consumer-oriented lens for sports and portraits. Canon Rumors is reporting that Canon is launching a 100 to 300 f2.8L. This is a sports lens, but it could also be a portrait lens. It is $9,500, so it's very high end. But think of it as a 70 to 200 f2.8, but with more reach, about 50% more reach. It's like putting a teleconverter on your 7200 f2.8, but that would give you 7200 f4, so you wouldn't get the same light gathering capability, you wouldn't get the same bokeh out of it. This gives you the best of both worlds. The ability to shoot at 300 and f2.8 is amazing and usually requires a prime lens, but you can also zoom back. This is the perfect focal length for field sports, for being on the sidelines of soccer or football, and I cannot wait to test this lens. I'm very excited about it with the R3. That would be amazing. So subscribe to see our test of this upcoming lens from NikonRumors.com, and long-awaited lens, a wide-angle zoom for their DX cameras like the Z50, Z30, ZFC. This is a 12 to 28 f3.5 to 5.6 power zoom with vibration reduction, VR. The power zoom means that they are beginning to get into more video focused things. Sony's been releasing power zoom lenses for quite some time, and you could zoom in, push and pull with a switch, and it would be nice and smooth. So it's really good for run and gun style operations. The 12 to 28 focal length is 18 to 32 millimeters in full frame terms, which is exactly the focal length that vloggers and most run and gun operators need. It's perfect for holding the camera like this, facing yourself, or for generally just shooting around town. And Nikon hasn't had anything like that. This is really going to empower the Z30, a very video-centric camera, to do its thing. In the comments down below, let me know which of these products you're excited about. Don't forget to subscribe to see our upcoming review of those products, as well as so much more. And thank you to our sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is a tool you use to create a website for yourself. Squarespace is not social media. This is something you own. You get your own custom domain, like I have, northropphotography.com. You can think of a name for yourself and send potential clients there. Send people who are interested in your photography or video there instead of your social media. You know why? Because your social media just has your recent stuff. And most people are only going to scroll and see like your last 3 or 4 things. Your newest stuff isn't your best stuff. You need a proper portfolio that shows off your work with styles, fonts, colors, logos that match your own personal brand. Give them an entire experience, and I promise it will improve your reputation and your business. Get started at squarespace.com/Tony. Free trial, no credit card required. When you love it, the coupon code Tony will get you 10% off. Thank you, Squarespace.